Hello, constellation of beautiful stars. Welcome to Starchaeology Tarot. This is my channel. I am Desi. I am so thrilled to take a deep dive today into the complex, beautiful galaxies that you all are. These are all 12 astrological tarot readings for August 2022. I highly encourage you to watch all your placements. You can do so using the timestamp below. Check out your sun sign, your moon, your rising, your Venus. This will give you a more full picture of the complete puzzle that you are. Whatever resonates is what is meant for you, and what doesn't is meant for another member of the constellation, or maybe a few other members of the constellation. So let's jump right in and start with Aries. This is good for Aries, sun, moon, rising, and Venus. Call in Aries guides. What are the messages for Aries for August? Gratitude. Ten of Swords, Aries, and King of Discs, or King of Pentacles. Aries, you are in a place this August where it may be, for some of you, it may be difficult accessing a sense of gratitude. Another word for gratitude is acceptance. Acceptance is a crucial part of gratitude, as is forgiveness. We can't be in a state of gratitude or acceptance without forgiveness, whether that's forgiveness of others, forgiveness of ourselves, or forgiveness towards powers that be that are outside of our control. Some of you are having, this is the intention that you have this month. You are trying to access this. You are wanting this. This is your want song in the opening number of the musical That Is You. And what's standing in your way of that is this Ten of Swords. It's very hard for you right now to feel that gratitude, access that kind of gratitude and acceptance, because there is something that is ending in your life, or something that has come to an end. And it feels for many of you like a stab in the back, whether it's a malicious betrayal, or simply a wound that comes across as feeling like betrayal to you. You making this situation personal in some way, you projecting assumptions onto it, projecting maybe malice onto it. It feels, some of you feel like the whole world is against you, or a lot of people are against you right now, and that there's a sense of unfairness there, and that is really, really painful. Others of you, it's not so much a sense of betrayal. Some of you know that this ending was a long time coming. You've been waiting for it. You've been preparing for it. It's like, you know, each of those swords lined up chronologically, was stabbed chronologically in your back. So you've been counting them. You know that you've been witnessing this slow death of something, whether it is a belief system, a way of thinking, maybe it's an ongoing conversation that you've been trying to have with someone, and you keep going at it, and it keeps proving to be fruitless, or proving to not progress the relationship in any productive way. It's just a repetition of the same old words. And really, you come away from it feeling disappointed the same way every time. Whatever it is, it's an ending to that cycle, conversation, way of thinking, belief system. And many of you have been prepared for it just because you've been clocking each disappointment along the way, each crack in the belief system along the way. And it's just gotten to a point where it can't sustain that many cracks anymore. You're at a point where you're like, I can't I can't rescue this. I can't resurrect this. I can't make this work. The powers of destruction are greater at this point than the power of survival. And so it's important to yield, surrender to the power of destruction so that you can create something new in its place. I love the art in here. There is this, it's just like a snake egg. So there is rebirth that happens, but snakes symbolize in many different cultures, folklore, spiritual philosophies, rebirth, and not only just rebirth, but continual rebirth, infinite rebirth. The snake is often depicted as an infinity symbol. Or if you see the image of like a snake eating its own tail and it's a circle, it's like that skin is shed and it's constantly being reborn, but going in that same path. So there is a really strong element to the Ten of Swords of rebirth along with destruction. And we see this beautiful ivy growing from this man's heart. That is only possible. That is what's holding space for the destruction that's happening. It's like you can focus so hard on that destruction. You can have a really micro view, a really myopic view of the pain that is happening. And if you're looking at it too closely, you won't see that it's being held by this beautiful green growth, life, this newness, this rebirth that's coming from a very heart-rooted place. You need to zoom out and have the macro picture, see the bigger picture, so that you can see that this is just a part of this bigger, beautiful thing that's happening. But many of you are struggling with this Ten of Swords ending, and that's what's standing in the way of you feeling gratitude for the things in your life right now, for the things that you can't control, the things that are there to be accepted by you. They are put there in your path, Aries, this month for acceptance. The lesson is accepting them. It is surrendering to endings outside of your control. It is forgiving what has to be forgiven, because you can't change those things. And there's no other option for those who are spiritually and growth-minded than to forgive. There's never another option. Resistance is always going to be in conflict with acceptance, and acceptance is always in conflict with holding a grudge. Acceptance is forgiveness. So I see these, I see this being really the crux of your month. Now, some of you, if that wasn't resonant, it's a slightly different situation. Some of you are actually deep in your gratitude this month. You are feeling so much acceptance. You are feeling rooted, if in nothing else, your acceptance of your present moment, your ability to feel gratitude despite your outside conditions. What a gift that is. Even though you're able to access this, it feels, some of you might feel like, what's the point though? Like, I'm stressed out that I feel so much stillness and peace with what is, even though it's not necessarily what I want. Does that mean I'm lazy? Should I be working harder? What should I be doing? How does that translate into the real world to get me closer to what I want? I don't want to be complacent. And I just want to say, if that you fall into that camp, let that fear fly away. Let that fear dissolve. You are being fooled by outside circumstances. You're being fooled by conditions of your life that may feel destructive right now. And those conditions are trying to seduce you into feeling pressure, into feeling stress, into feeling like you can't accept your present moment because it's not enough. and it shouldn't be enough, and I deserve better. This isn't a question of what you deserve or what someone else deserves. This is a question of whether you can accept and feel grateful for what you have at any given moment. It's not binary. It's not like either I feel grateful and accepting of my given moment, or I reject it and I continue to work harder. You can be accepting of what you have, forgiving of what's happened to you. You can be so rooted in the present moment and channel this kind of deep gratitude and joy for your life, and you can still have the intention to continue to improve. You can still have the intention to continue to change things, create new things in the wake of destruction, in the wake of endings. And you will do that, Aries. That's not a question. It's really not. So if you're being misled into thinking it is, or tempted to think that it is, understand that those kind of pressures are coming from your shadow self. Maybe they are remnants of a dying belief system, or a dying thought pattern, a dying way of talking to yourself about ideas like what I deserve or being enough, and they're screaming on their way out the door. That's why you're struggling with this right now. The biggest piece of advice is the King of Discs, King of Pentacles, which is understanding. I mean, how incredible these cards came out together. King of Discs has so much gratitude and acceptance built into it, because it is about making the best uses of the resources available to you, having sovereignty over the resources available to you, not wasting a single thing, understanding that every little piece is a tool and is something to be grateful for, is something to be used by you. It's there as a gift. Even the things that we think are there to hurt us, the wounds, those are teachers. Our enemies, if you have them, they're teachers. Everything is a teacher. Everything is a tool. And King of Discs knows this. King of Discs knows that, even when the King of Discs is literally feels like he's being buried, stuck in a hole, he knows that he's actually being planted. That there's great wisdom and resources and power at his fingertips. It's all about how he sees it, and that's what makes him a king. That's what makes him sovereign over his world, over his environment. This is also about, I think for some of you, the message is also to be sure that you are showing up for other people. There are ways in which you can find gratitude and acceptance of your current situation, ways that you can surrender to this ending and start anew by taking some of the focus off of yourself, off of trying to figure out what is the right thing to do for you. How do I help myself? I have so much pressure and stress over helping myself. Sometimes we help ourselves without even meaning to, by helping other people. It's that redirection of focus that allows things to grow organically within us, create anew organically within us, rebirth things organically within us, because it's almost like a watched pot never boils. It's like your attention is on a different pot, and so things just start to happen within you. And of course, service brings out the best parts of ourselves when we feel like we want to do good for other people and do right by other people, people that we love and care about. The beauty of that is it brings out the best parts of ourselves, and bringing out the best parts of ourselves can only do good for ourselves too. That also progresses us along our path. So that is the message for you, Aries, for August. I would love to hear how this looks specifically for you in your life, so please open up and share below if you feel called to. Check out your other placements, your Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, whatever this placement was not. And if you haven't liked and subscribed, please, please, please do that. If you want to support this channel for as little as $3 a month, check out my Patreon in the link below. Thank you, Aries. I love you very much. I'll see you next time. Hi, Taurus. This is good for Taurus. Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. I'm going to call in Taurus's guides. Call in Taurus's angels. What are the messages for Taurus for August 2022? Taurus, we have the moon in reverse. We have, wow, the Hanged Man in reverse as well. Oh my gosh, all reversals. The Four of Discs in reverse. Wow. Okay, Taurus, this is crystal clear, I think, to me. So we have the moon in reverse, the Hanged Man in reverse, Four of Discs in reverse. Some of you, with this moon energy right now in reverse, in August, some of you are in a place where you seem to be avoiding the call of the subconscious. Maybe you're receiving signs that you don't understand, or having dreams that are really disturbing and you don't really understand them. There's a resistance to going deep. There's a resistance to questioning your reality, bringing up the questions or really bringing up the question of what are illusions that I'm mistaking for reality in my life, and what are realities that I'm mistaking for illusions. That's what the moon deals with when it's upright. So seeing it reversed right now, I see a resistance to those kind of questions. I see a resistance to those that are, of course, rooted in fear of the unknown. But also, what I'm hearing for some of you is a fear of your deepest self, Taurus. Like, almost like there's a part of you that is afraid of going deep because you're afraid of what you'll find, which makes me raise a greater question for you, which is, do you believe the core of who you are is beautiful? Or do you believe, like, at your core there's something wrong with you, or that you're not enough, or you never will be enough? If there is a resistance to going deep, it could be because you very strongly live your life by a subconscious belief that is an illusion about your truest self, about your deepest self. And so there is an avoidance about this deepest self because you have some negative beliefs about it, some negative beliefs about who you are. Of course, there's resistance or fear. There is this, with the moon in reverse, there's this kind of putting up a facade or a wall of everything's okay. That's what you project. I'm okay, everything's okay. Despite having strange synchronicities in your life, or coincidences, or dreams, or even thoughts that you feel are unwelcome. Thoughts that pop into your head that are just like, I can't think about that. I don't want to think about that. I have to silence that. Even though it could be the voice of your higher self, the voice that loves you the most, the voice that is always looking out for you, and that wants to develop a stronger relationship with you, so that you can honor that voice, and that voice can do right by you, actually help you make changes in your life for the good of you and everyone else. It's fascinating that the Hanged Man also is here in reverse, because I see this as this kind of unwillingness to answer the call of your subconscious, your deepest self. What is making that worse is this Okay, this is going to be different for some of you. I'm getting two different messages, so please listen all the way through to get the message that's most resonant with you. For some of you, there is a stalling that is happening. Like you're resisting going deep, and you also feel like you can't because you're stuck in some kind of waiting period. And you think that that waiting period is outside of your control. You think that someone else has you hung by the foot, that you're making some great sacrifice that someone else put on you, that you didn't mean to take. Power's out of your control, but the truth is that you do have the control here. This is like a displacement of blame or power, thinking like my hands are tied when really you're the one who's tied them. You're the one who can untie them. The rope is very loose. So this could be you finding yourself in this waiting period that isn't actually helpful or even necessary. It's like the waiting period is actually, even if you were in a waiting period, this could show that the waiting period has come to an end. It is at its natural end, and you're feeling yourself out of the incubation period. You're feeling that voice is speaking up from your subconscious to act, but you are still pretending that you're still in that incubator, that there's still nothing you can do, that nothing has changed, when actually a lot has changed. Even if the a lot I'm talking about is just a lot that's within yourself. Maybe nothing in your conditions have changed, but you have changed on the inside. And it's important for you to recognize that so that you can step out of this incubation period instead of being like, well, I'm in this incubator, it's my home now. I'm in this waiting period, it's my home now. This is, this is where I live. So it doesn't matter what feelings I have. It doesn't matter how I feel or what's changing in me or around me, because I'm more committed to this state of being now than actually the gifts and the changes that this state of being was supposed to bring to you. The waiting period happened to you so that you could change on the inside. This surrendering happened to you so that it could move you in the right direction. This is like saying, well, you put me in this room to think about this, and you think about it and you think about it and you reach a decision, and then it's like, great, it's time to go act on that decision. You're like, well, no, I can't, because actually I live in this room now. This is my thinking room, and I'm in this room now forever. That's kind of the vibe of this. Others of you, if you haven't been in a waiting period, you don't find yourself in a waiting period. It could be that what you actually have been avoiding, what you've actually been stalling, is reflecting, is resting. You're still trying to go about, saying everything's fine, business as usual, with your foot tied and hanging upside down and you're blindfolded. It's like no matter what the universe throws at you, you're like, that's okay, I'm just going to keep going as everything's normal. Instead of recognizing that that is part of the subconscious trying to speak out to you. That is your higher self trying to lead you, and you're saying no to everything that your higher self is leading you to or trying to tell you. This is an avoidance of self-reflection, and it is definitely affecting this resistance. I mean, it goes hand in hand with this resistance of the call of your subconscious. Now, what is the advice here? Four of Pentacles in reverse. Letting go of attachments. Letting go of things that you think that you need. Things that you think bolster you, make you more powerful, make you stronger, make you successful, maybe in the eyes of other people. Maybe it's just, it's social, what's the word I'm looking for? Social credits, Like, well, I can't act on that. I can't give up that thing because that's the thing that everyone says they want. And it makes me look like my life is perfect. It makes me look like I've been successful, like I have something to show for myself. I can't give up that social credit. When in fact it has become not just an attachment of your ego, but it's defining you to the point of limiting you. To become greater than you already are, you need to let go. You need to let go of certain things so that you can receive those gifts. If you're holding on so tightly to the gifts that you've had, your hand is not open. You're not open to receiving more. And the biggest piece of advice here is to let go of the attachments that you falsely believe. Also, maybe that is an illusion, that you falsely believe that you need in order to survive, or you need in order to be you, is what I'm hearing. What you need in order to be you. That is a lie. That may be something your ego needs to survive, but you are not your ego. Your ego is a part of you. You are so much more than your ego. And if you want to discover all that you really are, if you want to swell to your full potential, life is a series of surrendering and letting go of attachments, and then seeing how surprised we are when more continues to flow our way. I hope this was clear, Taurus. What a powerful message for August. I would love to hear how this looks specifically for you in your life, so please comment below and share. If you haven't liked or subscribed, do that right now. Please subscribe to this channel. It would mean so much to me to see you as part of this community, part of this constellation. And if you'd like to support this work and help me do more of it, check out my Patreon, where you could support me for as little as $3 a month. I love you very much, Taurus. I'm rooting for you, and I'll see you next time. Hi, Gemini. Welcome to your August 2022 tarot reading. This is good for Gemini, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. I'm going to call in your guides, Gemini. Call in your angels. What are the messages for Gemini for August? Gemini, we have the King of Wands, the Moon. Oh, and the Eight of Swords in reverse. This is juicy. Okay, Gemini, so Gemini, some of you, first of all, there's a few different interpretations for this, so definitely listen through if what I first say is not resonant. Some of you are dealing with a King of Wands in your life, so someone with real Leo energy, obviously. Could be a fire sign. It also could just be someone who is so committed to what lights up their soul, their mission, their soul purpose, their desires, pursuing their desires, but doing so in a way that's really responsible and conscious of others. Kings, positive king energy, and I see that this way, not king energy that maybe has gone awry because this is upright. King energy is reliable and responsible towards others. There's always a duty towards a king's people. The king is there to serve them. It's not the other way around. And king energy, when it is light, very much incorporates this kind of beautiful duty and responsibility to others, while also maintaining that for the self. There's a balance. Having personal sovereignty in your own desires and missions, but it's never at the expense of anyone else. It's not at the expense of people that you love and care about. It's very conscious and aware of others, of the rest of the world. And in a way, this is very much aligned with the concept of Dharma, where we do ourselves the greatest good and the greatest good to others by following our Dharma, by saying yes to our own gifts and talents and interests. There's a beautiful symbiosis there in serving ourselves authentically, and by doing that, we really free the best and brightest version of ourselves, which then serves others. So this could be someone, if there's someone that comes to mind who feels this way, who you feel this describes, it could be that in August you are meeting someone like this, you're connecting with someone like this. There is a kind of partnership happening. Others of you, I think this could be a love interest for some of you. I think for others, this could be almost a mentorship. King energy is also, kings are also an aspect card of the Emperor. So King of Wands, this is like the passions of the Emperor, the fire of the Emperor, that really action-oriented, pursuing soul purpose and mission. So this is someone that you're connecting with, that I'm seeing you place your trust in, someone who you're allowing yourself to depend on them in some way. That is King energy. You feel taken care of by them. And there's also something about their sovereignty in their personal power, in their pursuit of their desires, in their the action that they take on personal mission, that is attractive to you, or it inspires you. It makes you want to be closer to them. What's getting in the way of that is, I think, you, due to maybe past experience, are not sure, you're not sure, fully sure if you can trust them. There is this element of like being like, is this person real? Is this too good to be true? I can't separate illusion from reality. I can't separate my fears from my nightmares from my living experience. I can't also separate my daydreams or my greatest dreams from reality. There's kind of a blurring of the line of your subconscious and conscious selves. And that, when the moon is here, that is like a window into our souls. That's a window into our subconscious, which we should all say yes to, which we should all have the courage sometimes to step through that window and explore. But by doing so, we often open ourselves up to more confusion and chaos, because a lot of what lives in the subconscious is, or at least feels like it is, contradictory to what exists in reality. So some of you are really aware of this kind of duality of maybe around this person. Like, it seems like this person is this way, but then I have this feeling that they're not. Or vice versa. I'm projecting things onto this person that aren't true, because the stuff of my nightmares rules my subconscious, and that is affecting how I experience reality. Whatever it is, there is real subconscious confusion and subconscious beliefs that are open right now. They're not locked away. They're really open and affecting your reality. The moon is affecting your experience on Earth. And it feels, for whatever reason, what is definite is that it feels in conflict with how you are experiencing this person. So the message here is, whatever it is that you're experiencing with this person, and whatever opposite feelings you have that you don't have evidence to believe about this person, but you have feelings or thoughts that are like suggesting things to you that are not rooted in reality necessarily. This is a time to be questioning that, because it could be coming from illusions, from subconscious illusions that are also coming to the surface to be released, to be healed. The only time we ever release illusions in our lives, in our subconscious belief systems, is by actually accessing them, is by opening the door to, or lifting the veil of our subconscious and venturing in. And it's very scary to do that, but we can never do that from the other side of the veil. It can only be done by going inward, by challenging those beliefs. And the beliefs are a part of you. So it's not like you can look at that belief and say, I am attacking this or challenging this without feeling it. Of course, when you are feeling a certain way, when you're feeling confused by, or, deceived or tempted by messages from your shadow self, messages from your subconscious that are coming from your deepest subconscious fears, the way that you engage with them, the way that you face off with them, is by feeling them first. You can't face off with those feelings from a distance. They're in you, they're part of you. So the way that you engage with them, question them, challenge them, change them, defeat them, however you want to phrase that, feeling them, allowing them to enter your heart and your mind, is the challenge in how you engage with them. And it's a crucial part in it. You can't engage with them without allowing them to affect you. So know that if that's happening to you, that's important work that you're doing, and it is work. Now, others of you, this isn't someone in your life, so back to the other interpretation that I said stick around for. Some of you, this King of Wands isn't another person. It is not necessarily something that you're sorting out with a love interest or a mentor or a father figure. This King of Wands is a version of yourself. It is the version of yourself that feels grounded in your desires, that takes your desires by the horns and takes action with them, follows those desires, yes ands them, feels something and decides to act on it because it's coming from that fire within your soul. This is the part of you that is sovereign over your own desires, that's sovereign over your purpose, your mission, and really being authentically and unapologetically you. Of course, not at the expense of anyone else, doing this in a responsible way. That's like, I'm taking care of myself so that I can take care of others. I'm honoring this part of myself so that I can do right by other people. So I can serve other people somehow by pursuing the thing that I desire, by taking steps on my journey towards my goals. It's not just pure self-interest. That part of you, some of you are trying to access this, or you are feeling this very strongly in August. And what's coming up is all of these doubts. It's all of these doubts and fears because you are actually acting on it. It's because you are actually either you have intention to be more of this, to step into your sovereignty here, or because you are actually practicing being sovereign in this way. And so, of course, what comes up is all of these subconscious belief systems and thoughts and fears and hopes and dreams that are all just blending in with your reality and causing a great deal of confusion about how you feel about yourself and your path. This is a really confusing, this could be a very confusing time. What is certain is that this isn't a time to be backing down or isolating yourself in the face of confusion and fears. This isn't a time to restrict yourself, limit yourself, just because questions are coming up. Questions are good. It's good to engage with this part of your subconscious. It's good to live in the area of uncertainty for a while. Sit with uncertainty and resist the urge to just resolve it for the sake of resolving it, but actually sit with it so that you can genuinely explore it. Eight of Swords, I mean, this is the advice, and it's in reverse. It's saying, do not, at all costs, do not restrict yourself. Don't limit yourself. Don't limit this version of who you are, or try to limit this person in your life, or, you know, how you interact with them, whatever it is. Don't place limitations on this King of Wands, because there are parts of your subconscious that are coming to the surface to be engaged with. This is not the time to act on the moon. It's the time to sit with the moon. Continue acting in the way that you are. Don't restrict yourself. Don't isolate yourself. Don't limit yourself. Don't tell yourself stories that go, I can't be, you know, I can't talk to that person. I got to figure this out on my own. Or I can't be this King of Wands. I can't honor my desires or my purpose or my mission. Instead, I gotta limit myself from that. I gotta restrict my desires. I gotta curb my own desires because they're inherently evil, or something along those lines. This is not the time to do it. This is about freeing your mind, not allowing your mind to put limitations on you, and instead embrace the uncertainty of the moon and understand that this is a cycle. And it's not you who decides when the cycle's over. It's the moon that decides when the cycle is over. So ride out the period of uncertainty to the very end and see what it has to teach you in its final moments. Then you will find yourself on the other side of it when it's time to be on the other side of it. You'll be able to draw conclusions about your reality, about illusion, about the blending of the two and separating what's real and what's not. You'll be able to do that when this period is over, but it doesn't end by you taking yourself out of it or by closing the door on your subconscious. Closing the door on your subconscious, you just stop the most important work that you could be doing. I hope this is clear, Gemini. This is a powerful message for August. I'd love to hear how this looks specifically for you in your life, so feel free to comment below. Please like and subscribe to this channel. Your support means everything to me, and it goes a long way. And if you'd like to help me help you better, if you want to help me do more of this for you, please consider becoming a patron for as little as $3 a month in my, you could do it in my Patreon below. Click the link below. I love you very much, Gemini. I'm rooting for you as always, and I'll see you next time. Hi, Cancer. Welcome to your August 2022 tarot reading. This is good for Cancer, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. I'm going to take a moment and call in Cancer's guides and angels. What are the messages for the Cancer constellation? Constellation of Cancers. My beautiful cluster of Cancers out there. Cancer, we have the Knight of Swords in reverse, Five of Swords in reverse, oh wow, and Five of Discs in reverse, double fives, and then a Knight card, wow. Okay, Cancer, I'm hearing some really specific messages for different Cancers here for this reading. So please take whatever resonant and leave the rest, and listen all the way through just to get the variety of messages. Some of you First of all, Knight of Swords, it's there in reverse. For some of you, this is you. This is someone who is really sharp-minded, quick-witted, and enjoys intellectual stimulation just for the joy of it. This could be someone who, I'm seeing someone who likes to argue just for the mental gymnastics and the mental exercise. It's not so much, it's not necessarily about much more than that. And sometimes it's creates conflict that other people might see as aggressive when it's not. The fact that the Knight of Swords is in reverse here, I see this being turned to an extreme, meaning that it does become more about being right than actually winning the war. And we often equate being right with winning, but those two things are often at odds. The Knight of Swords is someone who is in reverse, is really someone who has devoted themselves more to the goal of being right at the expense of their own mission or values, what they say is important to them. And they lose that war. They lose that greater process that they lose that greater mission in the process of just trying to be right. This could be someone who's just like loves the art of debate to the point that it's actually really unhelpful. It's really unproductive. It's someone who gets maybe really caught up in semantics of words and really harps on word choice while ignoring intention of someone else. This kind of discussion, debate, words exchanged are not ultimately productive. It's more getting caught up in how like a lawyer works, like finding the loopholes. It's not, it feels very myopic. It's very short-sighted. So some of you, I see this as being you, and you're struggling with this part of yourself right now, or you feel very triggered a lot in a way that's like, I do want to prove that I'm right to people that I genuinely believe are wrong. And maybe you hurt your mission in the process. You actually aren't getting what you want or what you say is important. Bigger picture, what's most important. Others of you, this is someone else, like the fact that this is in reverse, this could be someone else in your life who's having this effect on you. Someone who wants to be debating you, someone who keeps wanting to engage you intellectually or in conversation, and it could be that it isn't at an extreme for them, because in this case I'm interpreting the reversal as not the knight itself being put to an extreme, but really the energy coming from somewhere else. So it could just be that someone else is in your environment right now who really wants this kind of intellectual stimulation and wants to be debating and wants to be fighting just for the joy of argument, of making arguments, and you're dealing with that person right now. Maybe you are making false assumptions about what their intentions are, what they're trying to do. We also have the Five of Swords at play here, which really goes hand in hand with the Knight of Swords, because the Five of Swords is about conflict that ultimately proves to be energy wasted. See, we have these swords, and every hand is being stabbed. No one's winning this kind of conflict. It's just like everyone is speaking over each other at the same time, and there's no productivity that's coming from it. It's really energy wasted on the intrigue, on the fight itself, becoming so invested, more invested in the fight than in actual solutions, than in actually coming up with productive solutions that serve your real goals and your real values, not your ego's goals or your ego's values. Sometimes it's hard to discern those things. It also, I think, taken to an extreme, could lead to real distrust and accusation. So it's also conflict that isn't really earned. You know, it's a fight that it's like fighting over something that isn't even real. Whether that's false accusations, or it's due to your own trust issues or trust issues from others and they're projecting on you, or you just have some kind of paranoia, or others have paranoia that is really affecting, it's leading to conflict that's completely unnecessary. So this, for some of you, it's this conflict that is stopping you from being able to engage with this person who just wants to debate for the joy of debating in a productive way. For others of you, if the Knight of Swords is you in this situation, someone who has kind of gone to an extreme in this way, really concerned with being right and losing sight of what is important to you in the process, or losing sight of the war, just for the sake of this battle. It could be that the Five of Swords is your biggest obstacle right now to whether to, you know, it's funny because it's like, I think that if this is you, then your goal is to be right. That is the position that you want right now. And then you have this obstacle that actually might be something you want to surrender to, because you don't want to be this version of yourself. You don't want to surrender to this version of yourself. You'd rather surrender to the forces against you that are pushing against you from being this way. And those forces could be this conflict that it's causing with other people in your life. That conflict is in direct opposition to you being this Knight of Swords, this reversed Knight of Swords. And the conflict should be a signal, you know, a red flag that it's time to wave a white flag. Others of you, I see yet another interpretation. I'm hearing something else. The Five of Swords is, because it's in reverse, it is that conflict that's coming to an end. It's the end of distrust and accusations and conflict that's completely futile and fruitless and unproductive. It's like an end to conflict that's just there to sabotage you and sabotage others. It's not productive conflict, and there is a difference. The fact that this is in reverse could mean that that kind of conflict has come to an end for you. It's reached its natural end point in some way. A fight is over that you've had, and yet even with it being over, it's almost like you see the fight being over as a threat to you winning, because maybe you feel like you didn't really win. You didn't feel like you didn't get that satisfaction that the Knight of Swords wants. And so you see that ending of the conflict, even though it's conflict that doesn't get you anywhere, as an obstacle to your mission, because you need a partner. You need a partner to fight with you. You need someone to engage with you, or this Knight of Swords needs you to engage with them. And this natural endpoint, this decision to simply stop and not continue fighting till someone wins, is really causing that Knight of Swords a problem, that other person a problem, because they can't fight the air. They need another sword to make contact with in order to get that high, in order to be right, to feed that part of themselves. So whether this is you or someone else, it's the ending of that conflict, the decision to be like, we're done, that is ironically in conflict with the Knight of Swords being the Knight of Swords. Now, how do you deal with this? What's the advice here? We have the Five of Discs. This is really a big clue into what this is about. So if you are the Knight of Swords here, if someone else is the Knight of Swords here, and you feel judgment about yourself or about someone else, there's judgment. I'm really hearing there's a lot of judgment about what's happening. And that, of course, is what this conflict was about too, because it's hard to not judge people that you think are wrong, or people who are so hell-bent on being right. A really big clue to what this is about, to understand it on a more spiritual level, and get out of your human perspective, get out of your ego perspective, is to deal with the deepest root cause, which is a poverty mindset. It's a scarcity mindset. It's a fear of not having enough, not being enough. Maybe this Knight of Swords is working so hard to prove themselves because they don't feel that they are enough in that way. They need that sense of righteousness to be enough, or to feel enough, or to be accepted by you or someone else, or vice versa if this is you. So this, instead of putting the efforts on being right, the focus needs to be shifted into making this person, whether it is you or someone that you're dealing with, feel like they are enough without having to fight to be recognized as enough, without needing like this kind of like win, this kind of defeat, this bloody, gruesome battle towards winning. It's not necessary for this person to feel like they have enough, like they are enough. They don't need to fight for what they have. They're not going to lose everything if they're wrong, or if they set down their sword. You know, that sword is not... It could be that this Knight of Swords is holding this sword as a defense, and it's doing less in the way of proper defense, and more in the way of alienation, more in the way of isolating this person to such a severe degree that that brandishing that sword does more harm than good. It causes more chasms with other people than anything else. It's defense to an extreme, to a harmful extreme. And that could be rooted, again, in protecting what you have and feeling like it could be taken away from you any moment, which is all scarcity mindset stuff. So the fact that this is in reverse and it's in the advice, it's all about reversing that scarcity mindset. It's all about recognizing that the mechanisms of seeking value and worth, or the current mechanisms being used to seek value and worth, are never going to deliver the kind of value and worth that is needed in this situation. That's at a much deeper level, and it needs to be dealt with directly. It can't be dealt with in this superficial way that the ego is trying to deal with it. I hope this is clear, Cancer. If this wasn't the message for you, be sure to listen to your other placements, your Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, whatever this was not. If you haven't liked and subscribed, please do that. Your support literally means everything to me, so please do that. And if you'd like to support this work, help me help you better, consider signing up for my Patreon in the link below. You can support this work and help me do more of it for as little as $3 a month. I would be so grateful to you. I love you very much, Cancer. I'm rooting for you as always, and I'll see you next time. Hi, Leo. Welcome to your August 2022 tarot reading. This is good for Leo, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. I'm going to take a moment and call in your guides. Calling in Leo's guides, Leo's angels. What are the messages for Leo for August? Most pressing messages, pieces of encouragement and guidance. Okay, Leo, we have the 10 of Discs, 8 of Wands in reverse, and the 9 of Discs. Wow, Leo. So what I'm seeing here and hearing, there's different messages for different members of the Leo cluster, so please listen up and listen through. 10 of Discs, some of you are in this position right now. You are already, you have a kind of generational wealth or long-lasting wealth. You are benefiting from the abundance of people who came before you, whether that's your parents, your family, a mentor, or even a community. Like you're riding the coattails of a community that you've become a part of, and you are reaping the rewards of that. Others of you, you're in the midst of actually creating multi-generational wealth. You're in the process of creating these foundational things that creating the foundations really for future long-lasting abundance. Your eye is on abundance in the long term, and that is where your conscious mind is focused now. That's a goal, and that's what you are currently working towards. You're visualizing this and you're moving towards it. Now, whether you have this already or you're working towards it, whatever was more resonant, the obstacle that's in your way right now is an utter lack of action. It feels like nothing is happening right now. It feels like action has stalled out, like you're not even sure what to do because the conditions around you are so still that it's easy when the universe pushes us in a direction, when a door opens for us. But when there's no doors opening, when there's no signals or directions around us, there's nothing happening in our outside environment that affects our decision making, then it's like making a decision in a void. It feels really hard to make that decision. It feels really hard to take any action because it feels like there is no action that makes sense. There's nothing that works with the outside forces because we cannot sense any outside forces. So it doesn't feel like we're collaborating in any action that we're taking. It feels, it's easy to feel really lost when we're in this space. So there is this element of feeling like, maybe you have multi-generational wealth, but you're having trouble accessing it or using those resources because nothing's happening for you in your immediate environment, or you're working towards this and nothing's happening for you in your immediate environment. And so it feels very still right now. It feels like nothing is happening. And that actually is confusing your action and confusing your direction and your path, or even stalling your direction and your path. Now, if that is the case, and again, I have more, excuse me, I'm hearing more messages for other members of the collective, so I'm going to circle back to these in a minute. But if one of those messages was resonant with you, what is the advice? 9 of Discs. The advice is to be ultra focused on your own personal small wins. The smallest win, it could be as small as a sprout breaking through soil. Nine of Discs is about personal success and reward that has come at great cost to you. You've compromised a lot. You have really put in a lot of hard work, and now it's about reaping the fruits of your labor. It's almost like saying, focusing on those small successes, the personal successes that don't extend beyond you or beyond your generation, or leave a mark on the world, if that's what you're interested in. A step to that is really actually narrowing your focus to your own personal, your immediate successes, even if it's an inner success that no one else can see, so it looks passive on the outside. It's focusing on those successes and feeling like you are successful, like being able to acknowledge the things that you are successful at. It begets more success. That success is then reflected outside of us when we're able to focus on the successes within us. So this could be as simple as just focus on your own personal success, whether those are successes you already have or these are successes you have to do. It could be that you're thinking so big that you are missing what's right in front of you. You are missing the garden that's within yourself that still needs work, that still needs towing. Sorry, towing's the wrong word. That's not the right word. Hoeing? That still needs that garden, that inner garden needs your attention. Let's keep it at that. It needs your attention. There is a lot that is yet to blossom there. And it's those personal small successes that are most definitely within your power. So if you feel like you're waiting for these opportunities to come to you, the things that are happening around you and they're not coming, that's a gift because you're not distracted. Instead, you can focus on the fact that your environment is quiet and still. That allows you to focus on the successes within you. And this is saying, work harder in that realm. Take risks, make compromises. There is self-sacrifice to be made yet, and therefore rewards to reap yet. But that is on such an ultra-personal level for you. That almost has to happen first before you're even able to graze this kind of larger than life abundance, this extensive abundance that goes beyond just your personal life but affects the people around you, your family, future generations, the world, your community, whatever this is. It has to start here. And your own garden needs tending to. So that's the advice for those of you who had some resonance in the early interpretations of these cards. Now, others of you, I have another interpretation here. This is not so much about. No, let me rephrase this. 10 of Discs, still, focus is what you are working towards, what you feel is top of mind for you, front and center for you is this long-lasting abundance, this state of abundance in perpetuity that you really want to reach. Or some of you have this to a certain degree right now. And what's standing in the way of that is this focus on all of the opportunities and actions that people around you are taking. It's taking the focus off of yourself in a way that's detrimental to you not only recognizing your own current successes and past successes, but you realizing your future successes. You experiencing the future abundance that is in store for you. this Eight of Wands in reverse could be not a blockage of action and opportunity on your part, but, you know, a redirection of this energy. So this could just be action and opportunities that are happening to others around you. And for whatever reason, some of you are seeing that, like other people's successes, other people's opportunities, as a stumbling block towards your own success. And that could also even be rooted in a kind of, competitive thinking that is rooted in really a falsehood, like this belief that there's only so much abundance out there. And so if I see other people getting it, if I see other people realizing these opportunities, there won't be any left for me, or an opportunity that someone else gets is an opportunity stolen from me. A reward someone else gets is a reward that is taken from me. So it could be that this is just illustrating or shedding light on a mindset that you have, Leo, that needs to be explored. And of course, the advice is still the same. It's a redirection to your own personal successes, and understanding that your success, you may have this view of success that is really irrational. Like, if I just work hard enough, this will come to me. Or let's just say if I keep just walking this path, it'll come to me. Or if I just keep trying, it'll come to me. Which is half true. But the Nine of Discs sheds light on the need for compromise and the element of personal, like, sacrifice and struggle. The success and abundance and rewards that we ultimately reap carry so much more weight when the struggle to get there carried a great deal of weight. That makes the destination more valuable. It makes the destination more meaningful. We could experience the most incredible destination, but if we didn't compromise and sacrifice along the way, if we didn't put parts of ourselves up for review, if we didn't challenge ourselves in ways that felt threatening to our worldviews, our perspectives, the ways that we define ourselves, the ways our egos define us, then that success will fall flat. It won't mean what we think it might mean. In fact, it might end up making the success itself the struggle, because there was no struggle to get there, or there was very superficial struggle to get there. There was very superficial self-sacrifice to get there. And so that just delays this inevitable like karmic balancing that has to happen, where it's like, okay, if I'm experiencing that level of success, then the struggle that I seem to skip over is going to happen during the time of that success. That's what I'm hearing. That's not something that you want, Leo. You don't want to snap your fingers and have that success and then be making up for lost time on the journey and lost lessons on the journey once you already had the success, especially if it puts you in a place of public recognition, or you have a lot of responsibility, other people depend on you. No, that personal work, that struggle is done. It's better done and accomplished alone, quietly on the inside, pre-success, pre that abundance. It's great to just get it over with, because it's inevitable. It's inevitable. And anyone who experiences deep satisfaction in their lives, deep fulfillment, knows that it always comes at the cost of struggle, of pain. On Joy and Sorrow, the poem, I probably bring this up every few months in my tarot readings, but it's just so relevant that sorrow carves more space in us. It carves out more space in us so that we can become a larger container for joy. We can become a bigger container for more joy. And if we don't allow sorrow into our lives in that way, if we don't allow struggle and compromise and sacrifice and challenging and doing this kind of hard internal work, then the joy we experience is so superficial. It doesn't have the depth that is this kind of lasting abundance, lasting appreciation, gratitude, fulfillment with our physical circumstances. You can have the best situation in the world, but if you haven't experienced sorrow, you'll never be able to appreciate this and be satisfied with it and fulfilled. So bring that attention to yourself, Leo. Bring that work. What is a Sith? I'm getting really lost in garden metaphors, but bring those gardening tools to your own personal inner garden and tend to that. Bring your attention small. Bring your focus to a narrower, more precise focal point. And that focal point needs to be yourself, within yourself, the things within your control, within your world. And don't worry about the successes that other people are having, what other people are doing, or even what opportunities are coming to you that are outside of your control. Right now, Leo, that's none of your business. I hope this was resonant. I'd love to hear how this looks specifically for you in your life, Leo. So please comment below, open up your heart and share. If you haven't liked or subscribed, do that now. Your support means everything to me. I need you here. And I really appreciate you being part of this Starchaeological constellation. If you'd like to support this work and help me do it better, help me help you better, please check out the link below to my Patreon. You can support this work for as little as $3 a month. And there's a lot of other extra bonuses on there for those of you who want personal monthly readings at a highly discounted rate, etc. Check it out. I love you guys. I'm rooting for you as always, and I'll see you next time. Hello, Virgo. Welcome to your August 2022 tarot reading. This is good for Virgo, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. I'm going to take a moment and call in your guides, Virgo, and your angels. We're looking for any messages today, Spirit, that will best align Virgo with their highest self, their highest path, their highest good. Words of encouragement, words of wisdom. That's, oh, wow. Well, that I think was too many cards. Let's see if any of these come out again. King of Cups, Virgo. Virgo, Princess of Wands. Oh, the universe. That's the world. Okay, Virgo, what I'm seeing is, so we have the King of Cups. This is, there's going to be a few different messages in here for different members of the constellation. So listen up and listen through to the end to make sure you get your message. King of Cups Some of you, this is someone in your life right now, someone maybe who's been there for a while, or someone who's just entered, who is bringing a level of such a high emotional EQ to your life that it's almost alarming. It's almost threatening to how you've moved through the world up until this point, or how you've moved in relationship up until this point. There's something about it. The reason I say that it is threatening in some way is because we have the Princess of Wands here, and there's a conflict here, because there's the other part of this person, or the other person in this pair is someone who really just has this lust for adventure, this lust for life, and wants to just consistently try new things. The thing is that King of Cups energy, while it might be new to you or it might be new to someone else, that kind of energy doesn't, it's very different from this one. It requires stillness. It's the idea of still waters run deep in a card form. So it isn't about just, itching to take action and try new things for the sake of trying them without any sense of direction. There is no direction with the Princess of Wands or Page of Wands. It's just like, I'm up for anything, I'm game for anything, and it almost makes you, if you know who if this Princess of Wands is you or someone else, it makes this person wishy-washy in a way, or non-committal in a way, because they're kind of following their flights of fancy. And there is a time and a place for that, and a time and place when that's really an invaluable quality to have, actually. In this case, it's in conflict with the King of Cups energy, which is very much like, slow down and stop, so that we can actually go as deeply as we need to go. That kind of self-exploration, or relationship with, or exploration through relationship with someone else, is earned over time. It's something that is not instant. It's not like, let's try this new thing, here we go. It's actually something that is that's earned, the same way that trust is earned and built. King of Cups encompasses this deep desire to be seen, to be known, and to really understand one's emotions with their intellect. Like to intellectually analyze their emotions, not just react to them, which is what so many of us do. It's just like, well, my emotions, my feelings are my feelings, and that's it. And I'm really a slave to my emotions, because I have no conscious choice with them. I react to them, and that often dictates my action, or it dictates what I think, instead of actually pushing against them and challenging them and engaging with them in a really intellectually expansive way. That's what King of Cups energy is all about. So this could be you, Virgo. This could be someone else in your life. Maybe this is what you're aspiring to be right now. And then there's this other character, whether it's you or someone else, that's bumping against this, that's in conflict with this, that's taking in the other direction of like, no stillness, we got to do. I don't want to. It's like FOMO in a card. I don't want to miss out. I have this fear of missing out on all that there is to do, when really I want to suggest there's an illusion in that kind of thinking, because this is, while it may be still, it's very active. It's activity that happens where no one can see. But the power of King of Cups energy, I would say, it's even more powerful than Princess of Wands energy. So if we're talking about what's the more dynamic thing, like, exciting, it's surrendering to this this calling, whatever this is right now. Princess of Wands energy will always be there. There's always opportunities to try something new, to go, you know, on this like light, new, exciting adventure. But that's just engaging with your world on one singular level, and that level deserves to be explored, no doubt, but that only goes so deep. This also could be that quick impulses and quick desires could also be the thing that is misleading you. For some of you, the message here is more about like these being different parts of yourself, really, is how I'm seeing that. And as I was saying about intellectually thinking, processing feelings, that is at odds with the way that maybe you respond to quick desires within yourself, quick impulses, because you take those very seriously, or you really double down on them, instead of thinking like, instead of taking King of Cups perspective to those things and saying, why do I want to do that? You know, is that me succumbing to social pressure and thinking that it's mine? What is it? What is with that? You know, sudden desire to do this thing? Is that really coming from the root, like my deepest inner soul? Is it that kind? Is it soul desire, or is it ego desire? And King of Cups could be threatening to that kind of desire, because it takes a magnifying glass to what those fleeting, transient desires are really about, and can be disorienting, because we might define ourselves by these fleeting, transient desires. We might think, oh, that's just who I am, I'm spontaneous, or I love to try new things, blah blah blah. But it's like, that's actually not, maybe that's the facet of who you are, but that's not who you are. That's not determining your deepest desires for this lifetime for you. So yeah, a lot of information in there, a lot of different interpretations. I hope something was resonant. What's the advice? The universe, the world. Isn't the art incredible in this deck? This is a really interesting card to come to come here in the advice position, because the world or the universe is all about reconciling duality. Not reconciling duality. Holding space for the duality, not trying to solve it or reconcile it, but really understanding that even seeming opposites, things in conflict, can harmonize. So after talking all about these things in conflict, the advice here could actually be suggesting that you don't look at these things as conflicting, but instead try to hold space for these different parts of yourself, or yourself and this other person, this other force, whichever they are, and see the potential for the harmony and balance in those things. This also could be just about understanding your place in the world, changing the perspective so you're not seeing yourself as the main character, but as an ensemble player. The universe is a powerful, that perspective of the universe is a really powerful and highly evolved perspective to have. That's a really hard perspective for a lot of people to have. And the reason this comes at the end of the major arcana is because this isn't something that we really learn and embrace very quickly. This is one of the hardest lessons to learn, is understanding our small part in this much bigger consciousness, and or our piece of consciousness in this much bigger consciousness, and either like not being sad about that, actually seeing the beauty in it and embracing it. It's one thing to actually see ourselves that way. It's another thing to actually not have negative feelings about that, because I think culturally, socially, we don't want messaging that tells us that we're small and powerless, which isn't what the universe is saying. But it's, we are all powerful. But it's that power is shared, and it's that no person is better than another. We really are. There is no separateness. Separateness is the illusion, and we are in a time right now that is so highly divisive, where we want to separate ourselves from people. We want to say, I'm good and you're bad. I'm right and you're wrong. And that won't fly with the universe. That won't fly with the world card, because you are that person that you're saying is bad. You are that person that you're saying is wrong. And that is the hard lesson. That is the kind of, I think, very advanced, spiritually advanced concept to grasp. Some of you, the advice is that it's about that perspective shift. It's about seeing even opposites as all part of this beautiful ecosystem, holding space for duality, holding space for difference and conflict even, and understanding that they're both actually crucial parts of what our existence is. Others of you, the advice is the world also indicates endings. It suggests surrendering to natural endings, embracing closure, having closure, while a chapter ends so that another one can begin. The world, it's the world revolving on its own axis and crossing that start point again, and recognizing that that's inevitable. You're always going to cross. You're going to be dying and being reborn, within this single lifetime. That's going to happen. There's going to be so many chapter endings, so many new beginnings. So it's important to work with this natural flow of life, to surrender old things from the last revolution before you start the next revolution, to find closure that helps you in the next revolution, so that you're not holding on to something from the last chapter that isn't there anymore, that doesn't exist. There could be a clue there in embracing that an ending, in finding closure that opens you up to this King of Cups energy, whether it's in you or someone else, or helps to hold space for these opposing personalities or forces, of understanding that you can still be this spontaneous, like action-loving, I want to try anything, but also understand that there is equal importance to pause and to be still and to go deep. Both of these play a role in your life. They can both play a role in a relationship between two people too. It doesn't have to be one or the other. I hope that's clear, Virgo. I'd love to hear what this looks like specifically for you, so feel free to comment below. If you haven't liked or subscribed, please do that. It means everything to me to see you as part of this community, part of this Starchaeological cluster. And if you'd like to support my work, if you'd like to help me help you better, please check out the link to my Patreon below. You can support this work for as little as $3 a month, and higher tiers offer a lot of discounted bonuses for personal monthly readings, etc. So check those out too. And lastly, check out your other placements, especially if this wasn't resonant. Highly recommend looking at your sun, moon, rising, Venus, whatever this was not, because your messages could be waiting for you in a different placement for August, depending on what area of life for you is in the spotlight. Wishing you well, Virgo. I love you very much. I'm rooting for you as always, and I'll see you next time. Hi, Libra. Welcome to your August 2022 tarot reading. This is good for Libra, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. I'm going to take a moment and call in your guides. Call in Libra's angels. Angels of the Libra, of my Libra cluster. What are the messages for Libra for August? To best align them with their highest self, highest path, highest good. Okay, Libra. Oh my gosh, the Magician. Knight of Discs in reverse. And the Four of Wands. Wow. Some exciting stuff for August. So Libra, what I'm seeing is that in August, you have such insane potential, untapped potential, to really manifest anything right now. The Magician is all about, well, I want to say some of you are stepping into your power this month. You're realizing how much you have to bring, how powerful you are when it comes to creating what you want to create. Seeing that power as being in your hands as opposed to people or conditions around you. It's like this, I see some of you just really acknowledging your own personal power this month in such a exciting way, because actually manifesting things, actually being powerful, begins with acknowledging how powerful you are. The most powerful person in the world could effect zero change whatsoever, could create nothing if they don't know that they're powerful. If they have no idea what they're capable of, they could remain small and completely limited their entire lives. So the Magician starts with just the acknowledgement that you are magic, that you are a magician, that you can transmute dreams into reality. The Magician is so much as well about recognizing yourself as a vessel, and that's how power works. Power isn't accumulated. You can't receive power from somewhere and hold on to it and do nothing. Power comes from receiving that power, which can come in the form of inspiration, ideas, opportunities, and then allowing that to move through you and exit your being in some other form. So if you don't actually act on any of the things, any of the input, and there is no output, then you don't save up that power. You just lose it. You become stunted. This energy turns the other way, and you become this kind of energetic chasm of untapped potential, which is really painful, actually. We're here to create. We're here to be vessels. And this is I always think of the book The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron when The Magician comes out, because this is so much about focusing on quantity, not quality. It's about just creating, just being fearless in what you are, in the action that you're taking, allowing the inspiration or ideas to move you to something. It doesn't have to be the right thing, because you'll never find the right thing just in stillness, in doing nothing, waiting for the right thing, or thinking your way, feeling your way through to the right thing. It comes from movement, seeing where that movement takes you, and continuing to recalculate, re-navigate. That's how you eventually reach your goals. So I'm just seeing such incredible power and potential that you are tapping into this month, and it really relies on you focusing on that output, just allowing ideas, inspiration to move you to action. Doesn't matter what the action is, just taking the action is the journey. What's in contrast with that is the Knight of Discs, and I see this as being like the issue for, well, there's a few interpretations here. So some of you, you might not consider yourself to be very pragmatic or steadfast. You may struggle with patience. It may be hard for you to commit to a long road towards something, or commit to anything at all. Knight of Discs, upright, is the most committed knight of any. They're in it for the marathon, whereas other knights are in it for sprints. But the Knight of Discs doesn't take shortcuts to success. She knows there are no shortcuts to success. So this is about accepting responsibility for your own health and happiness, for your own journey, understanding that that is something that is worked towards and built, that you're not going to get that spark of inspiration overnight and it's going to be, wow, my one thing I ever make turns out to be this smashing success and I'm, celebrated far and wide. It doesn't look like that, usually. And the Knight of Discs being in reverse tells me that maybe some of you are not this way. You're not someone who likes committing to the marathon. You want the sprint. You prefer the sprint. And so that is a struggle, because the Magician's not, if we're looking at the Magician like focusing on quantity over quality, that's a marathon. It's putting out hundreds and hundreds of works of art, and trusting that quality will come. And that is not a sprint. That is a lot of work, and it's constant, and it's a commitment. It's a commitment to the process, not a commitment to any destination whatsoever. Knight of Discs also commitment to the process, but there is, but maybe there's a struggling or resistance to commitment to that process, even though you want to be accessing this kind of magic, even though you understand that to honor this potential, you do need to there's not a shortcut to honoring that potential. You can know that, you can feel so full of potential, but then there's this pull, because it's like, oh, I want to do something with this immediately, and I want it to be the thing that is a home run. And that's where these things are at odds, because the Magician doesn't work well under that pressure for the one thing that I make to be the home run. The Magician works well as a vessel, as this connector between the seen and the unseen, the divine and earth. It's a bridge. It's just a bridge. It's a vessel. if you are putting pressure on yourself to be like, the one thing I create or the thing that's going to come out of me is this home run, like dream come true situation. I have to make this. It's got to be perfect. Then you're not focusing on being a vessel anymore. You're not focused on being the bridge. Instead, you are focused on getting it right. And the magician doesn't care about right or wrong. The magician just cares about transferring the message. Four of Wands is in the advice position, and I think that really clarifies, it brings everything together really nicely, because it tells us that the advice here is building something that is stable. This is a 4, building stability, foundation. In this case, that begins by focusing on a project that is spiritually fulfilling for you. Something that you actually want to be doing, not something that you think is going to get you somewhere quicker, or something that you think is going to, get you in the room or do something, it's like that's a shortcut. It's not giving people what you think they want, but instead literally listening to what your soul is telling you, to what your deepest desires are telling you, not about the destination, about the work, about the project itself. It's only by focusing on that you actually tap into this potential. Focusing on how it's done, sprinting instead of the marathon. What's the way I can access this without fully committing to it? You're not going to access it. You're not going to serve as that vessel. And you're not going to build a foundation that's really spiritually fulfilling for you. This is the most important thing to focus on. Bring your focus to the project that excites your soul. It doesn't matter how feasible it looks in your mind, how much work it's going to be. If it's a ton of work, great. If it's a long road, fantastic. That gives you so many opportunities to realize over and over again the vastness and potency of your own personal power. And that's the journey that you're being called to take in August, Libra. Don't say no to that journey. The magician being here, especially, and launching this reading off, just tells me that the potential for miracles are here. This isn't a journey that you want to say no to, but it's going to take your real commitment and being honest about what is in your heart and soul, not what your ego is telling you, but what's in your heart and soul about the process, about the actual thing you are working on, not where it's going to take you, not the destination, not the finished product, how you feel doing this thing. I hope this is clear, Libra. If it wasn't resonant, definitely watch your other placements, your sun, moon, rising, and Venus, whatever this reading was not, because it could be that your message is waiting for you in another area of your life that really takes precedence this month. If you haven't liked or subscribed, please do so. It means everything to me to have you be a part of this community. And if you'd like to support me and support this work, help me do more readings like this, pick-a-pile readings, moon transit readings, more introspective work to support you on your journey, please consider becoming a patron via the link below to my Patreon for only $3 a month. There's also a lot of bonuses there for higher tiers who want customized personal monthly support at highly discounted prices, so check those out. I love you very much, Libra. I'm rooting for you as always, and I'll see you next time. Hi, Scorpio. Welcome to your August 2022 tarot reading. This is good for Scorpio, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. Whatever resonates is what's meant for you. What doesn't is meant for another member of the constellation. And I highly encourage you to watch your other placements if this reading isn't resonant. It could be that the messages for you this month are focused on a different area of your life, different placement. So definitely keep that in mind. I'm going to take a moment and call in your guides, call in Scorpio's angels. Please deliver any messages for Scorpio today that will best align them with their highest selves, their highest path, their highest good. Oops. Knight of Cups in reverse, Judgment, and Queen of Wands in reverse, Scorpio. Let's start with the Knight of Cups. This is someone, what I'm seeing is someone, this could be you or someone else that you are dealing with, who really was utopian, like idealistic to a fault. So much so that either you or they live in somewhat of a fantasy world that's it's extreme to the point that it's become harmful, which is why this is in reverse. There's an element of them being really disconnected from reality. So disconnected that the possibility of bridging fantasy to reality is becoming harder and harder to do. And this can drive this Knight of Cups character just further inward, further into their feelings, and really create this rich inner world that may be wonderful, and maybe there's like very important introspective work that they're doing there. But when it's that disconnected and detached from action, this raises the question of whether it has any value at all, because passivity needs action. Action needs passivity. They balance each other out, and all the introspection in the world means nothing if it isn't reflected in the outer world in some way. So this could be representative of you, it could be representative of someone else. Another interpretation is someone who is fighting to, for that utopian society, someone who is fighting for this really idealistic world, and even is self-sacrificial in the process, willing to sacrifice comfort or even logic for feelings, for what's felt to be right, really getting lost again in that inner world, in the world of feelings, to the point that it might detach you from actually what is true, even though truth is what this knight cares about more than anything else. It's the irony of it when it's put to this extreme. So this knight may be someone who is fighting to improve the world, but and is also really like invested in changing the world, like cares so much about the world, cares so much about changing their world or the world, however you want to look at it, but at the same time is extremely hurt by it, is extremely like takes a lot of it personally, because again, it's that cups energy, feelings taken to an extreme, to a harmful extreme. So there could be an aspect of this Knight of Cups character just taking a lot of things personally that they really can't afford to take personally if what they want to do is engage in the world and change it. It's like trying to change the world and at the same time rejecting the world that exists. There has to be some level of acceptance in order to change it so that they can engage with it. But if you're like, I want to change the world, but also you're like, what world? That it's like, again, this kind of catch-22, this complete divorcing between reality and fantasy that makes this Knight of Cups completely paralyzed and unable to do anything because they're just so in their feelings. Now, the force that's opposing that, whether this is you or someone in your life, is this Judgment card. This is a chance to really change this situation. There's something happening for you in August that is a real ending, a real moving forward and leaving the past in the past. Judgment is all about accepting the past, which also means forgiving the past. And the only way to be present and also move into the future when the Judgment card is here is to forgive the past, is to accept the past, and do so in a way that is genuinely the most kind and generous way to everyone involved possible. Because it's easy to be like, I accept it, but I'm holding a grudge still. You don't accept it then. If you're holding a grudge about something that happened, a grudge in and of itself is resentment. It is rejection. Because there's still a part of you that's like hoping to change it in some way. Instead of trying to make sense of it with the tools that you have, with the empathy that you have, especially as a Knight of Cups, and tell yourself a story about it, because we all tell stories. We're always constantly telling stories. So the question is, are you telling yourself a story that is limiting you, restricting you, or keeping you attached to the past in some way? Or are you telling yourself a story that liberates yourself from the past? Are you telling yourself a story that allows you to forgive everyone and yourself and move forward? Are you telling yourself a story that actually supports your present moment and your potential future? It's about conscious judgment, really consciously judging something, not just defaulting, like reactive judgment, because it's that reactive judgment that really ultimately keeps us in a state of non-acceptance and resistance, and then it's impossible to let go of the past and move forward, which is what the Judgment card is all about. So this is there's just potential here for a massive change in you, in your world, and it's about saying goodbye to an old you or an old life, really saying goodbye to it. And if you're having trouble saying goodbye to it, it could be because there's a lack of acceptance going on, or there's a lack of forgiveness. Forgiveness and acceptance are the keys to actually properly saying goodbye to things. And this need for judgment, this need for acceptance and letting go of certain past things, is a direct threat to this Knight of Cups. So a direct threat to the person who is holding on to fantasies, is so emotionally invested in things, but it feels like paralyzing in a way. This person who's the gap between their inner and outer world is so wide that they are unable to function. That is extremely threatened by judgment, by this Judgment card. It feels like judgment might be the enemy to this Knight of Cups, when in fact judgment is the liberator. Judgment is the thing that does build the bridge. Maybe their inner world that they keep fleshing out and building, all their stories inside themselves, are actually keeping them in a state of non-acceptance of reality, keeping them in a state of resistance, or keeping them in a state of non-forgiveness towards themselves or people in their lives, whether this is you or someone else, whoever this Knight of Cups is. And judgment is the antidote to that. It's also the greatest threat. The advice is the Queen of Wands. Queen of Wands, it's in reverse, which is really interesting. And I think this advice might come as a shock to some of you, but Queen of Wands upright represents a really passionate person who has righteous anger, also rooted in ideals and compassion, which is similar to the Knight of Cups. This queen, unlike the Knight of Cups, who has those ideals and compassion and is unable to do anything about it, the Queen of Wands is all action. So she is constantly fighting, really always defending people that she sees as less fortunate, unable to fight for themselves. She channels that righteous anger into action. The fact that we see this in reverse is telling me that the advice is to turn the volume down on that Queen of Wands. Let me rephrase it. There's two different pieces of advice here. So if that isn't resonant, the first is turning the volume down of your own righteous anger. It could be that righteous anger is the feeling of Knight of Cups that's building that whole inner world. That's the key component to this, idealist, imaginary world that the Knight of Cups is losing themselves in. And maybe like part of their idealist world is like someone paying, or I'll show them. Like it's stuff that's actually very righteous, but it feels like the ideal because this person is so hurt. It's a real mixing up of, like, again, personal issues and this idealism that actually does, that would, in theory, benefit everyone, because that is what that's what idealism is about. It's this utopia for everyone. So yeah, there could be some confusion there, but this could be shining light on the fact that there's righteous anger that's really involved in this struggle. And this is about turning the volume down on that righteous anger and not acting on it. The key to take action here, to move this Knight of Cups into action, isn't to act on the righteous anger part of them that's telling them their inner stories and fleshing out their inner world. It's to act on a different part. It's to act on something else, what's under the righteous anger. The thing that creates the most generous, loving story to ourselves and to others. Righteous anger doesn't tell that story. So this is so much about rejecting, just making the conscious decision to say, I'm not actually going to engage with that feeling. I'm not going to try not to feel a way that I feel. All of your feelings are valid, Scorpio, but you choose how you engage with them. You choose whether you hear them out and then say, thank you, I'm going to listen to everything you have to say, and then I'm going to make my mind up about how to act. You can listen, you can hold space for all those feelings. You don't need to do anything about them necessarily. In fact, it's good to pause so that you don't act reactively to feelings. Especially in this case, this righteous anger, which I think is just misleading you when it comes to resolving this conflict. a good way to think about it too is rechanneling righteous anger, not into action, not into fighting on behalf of yourself or other people or someone less fortunate, whether that's you or someone else, but channeling it into something else entirely, and it's not fighting. What comes up for you when I say that? That's something to think about. Now, another interpretation of this card, if this was not resonant, Queen of Wands being in reverse tells me this could be about seeking the help of someone else who does passionately fight for people who are less fortunate. It could be that you need someone on your side, you need an advocate, you need someone on your team to help move you through this, to help move you through this stage of judgment, acceptance, letting go. Could be as simple as a therapist who just has your back. But this could be a Queen of Wands that isn't you, and this is about seeking their help and guidance, their leadership, and relying on them. I hope this was clear, Scorpio. I'd love to hear how this looks specifically for you in your life, so please share the juicy deets below if you feel called to open your heart to me. I would love you to like and subscribe to this channel if that sounds good to you. That means so much to me. I want to grow this community, and every member of this community is extremely important to me. So thank you for being here and showing up for yourselves and for each other. If this wasn't resonant, check out your other placements, Sun, Moon, Rising, or Venus. And if you'd like to support this work and help me do it better, help me help you better, please consider becoming a patron via my Patreon in the link below for as little as $3 a month. There's also a lot of other goodies on Patreon there, discounted personal readings every month, and a lot more. So please explore that to your heart's content. I love you very much, Scorpio. I'm rooting for you as always, and I'll see you next time. Hi, Sagittarius. Welcome to your August 2022 tarot reading. This is good for Sag, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. Highly encourage you to watch your other placements if this message isn't resonant. Whatever is resonant is meant for you. What isn't is meant for another member of this constellation. I'm going to take a moment and call in your angels, Sag, and your guides. Okay, 3 of discs right off the bat. The messages for Sagittarius. Okay, Sag. Temperance. Whoa. And the Chariot in reverse. Wowzers. Okay. 3 of Pentacles. Temperance. The Chariot. Okay, Sag. This is interesting. So we have the 3 of Pentacles. This is 3 of Discs. It's in reverse. This tells me that your current situation in August, there's a lack of teamwork happening, or a lack of collaboration. Maybe it's, communication's not happening, or maybe it's just you don't have the team that you wish you had. There's obstacles in this energy flowing through the team that should be uniting it and making you all stronger together. That strength that should come through teamwork and having a team isn't there, or you're not accessing it well. Maybe you just feel very alone right now. You want this team that you don't have, and that's the place that you're at. This is really about finding collaborators, finding people who have your back, creating something that is bigger than the sum of its parts, which is always, when we are creating something that's like larger than life, that's like, I'm really making an impact in the world. That's never done one person alone. It really does take a village, and that's when magic happens, is in community and in communion with others. And that is, it's that lack of communion or community that is happening right now, whether you're on a team or not. It's like either the team isn't there or the team's there, but it's not healthy. The state of the team is not it's not transcendent. Now, temperance is here as well, and temperance is in this context, this is actually really, really interesting, because I see the thing that is the obstacle to, or no, let's put it this way. Sorry, I rephrase that. This isn't the obstacle. The fact that this is in reverse, this tells me this is more of the antidote. This is the opposing force of this lack of teamwork, is integration of our light and dark selves, integration of duality, which feels like divine work a lot of the time, because it feels impossible to do. It feels so impossible sometimes to hold space for two extremes or two opposites and find some kind of middle road that doesn't cancel out the extremes. It could be that there's a lot of differing opinions in this team, or maybe you have an extreme opinion in some way, so you can't find teammates, you can't find collaborators, or there's just, there's disagreement in all these voices involved. And so it's making it hard to move forward, because what is needed is not necessarily choosing one of these ways, but instead using all of these voices to bring yourselves to a new solution, not choosing one solution and sacrificing the rest. And that is what feels hard sometimes, because we think these are the only options, when in fact sometimes the conflict itself leads us to a new option. And that's more of what temperance's energy is. It's finding, it's the embracing of light and dark, the embracing of joy and suffering, all of these opposing things. And it's not getting rid of one for the other, but rather seeing them both as actually crucial to the ultimate path, to the ultimate solution. And that's what's needed here. It's like taking a step outside of your human self, your normal way of looking at things, and really seeing things from almost like an otherworldly perspective. Like that's why it's an angel depicted in this card, because it's miraculous work to bring this kind of balance and holding space for duality to earthly problems. We often want to solve earthly problems with earthly solutions, when in fact, oftentimes those earthly problems are portals to our own divinity, if we let them be. If we're like, no, what's not the human solution to this? What's the divine solution? How do I transcend my normal, small, limited way of thinking and of problem solving? Now, it's clear to me that this is about surrendering to this temperance. Seeing how you can honor yourself and honor the other voices in this team, or other people if you're trying to bring people onto your team. How do you honor and hold space for all those voices? Because what is working now, the Chariot in reverse, tells me that there's an obstacle in your current chosen path. And it's a big enough obstacle that may warrant abandoning the path completely, or reassessing your approach. It could be also the Chariot in reverse. Like when the Chariot's on top, it's like the perspective is outward. The perspective's on the road. It's towards the destination. It's having your eyes set on that destination and heading there at all costs, even if you're holding together these like crazy opposing forces by sheer willpower alone. This changes the perspective. So it's not so much outward anymore. Maybe it's on you. Maybe the obstacle is within yourself as you approach this path. The obstacle isn't in someone else. It's not in your teammate. It's not in your coworker. It's not in the people who aren't joining your team, you know, who you don't have on your side. It's something that needs to be changed within yourself that then can unlock new potential for this situation. I also say that because the Chariot is about holding space for the duality actually that Temperance brings up, like, you know, but the Chariot's like forcing them together. It's like I'm gonna force this to work no matter what, and it's that showing of sheer willpower alone. Like, okay, I'm not gonna say no to anything, but you know, I'm somehow saying yes to everyone and I'm forcing this to work. And it's not doing that either. The fact that this is in reverse tells me it's not about forcing these opposing forces to move in one direction. You know, holding space for duality doesn't necessarily mean saying yes to everyone with their exact pitches that they're giving you. It's more about allowing the duality to transform you in some way, to transform the situation to a new solution, a new path. You know, this path that just opens up for you that was not there before. So this isn't about just like, I'm going to say yes to everyone, I'm going to hold space for duality and opposing things. It's not that. It's not forcing those things to go together. It's just like, I hold space for these opposite opinions and everyone on the spectrum, all these different notes, and I'm going to see, by rearranging them and playing with them, what kind of symphony I can hear. You know, what song is that playing that I just wasn't hearing before? There's no forcing with Temperance. Temperance is more of a surrender, whereas the Chariot's not a surrender. The Chariot's pushing through. But this is saying don't push through. This shouldn't be forcing a round peg into a square hole. This is about actually letting go to a certain degree, allowing things to integrate, allowing, you know, there's so many natural laws of balance where things balance themselves out naturally in the natural world. And that's very much what Temperance is like. It's like surrendering to that natural balance and just changing your perspective enough that you're able to see it and acknowledge it. So I hope this was enlightening, Sag. If this was not resonant, there was not a message in this for you, even if it was just one, please check out your other placements, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, whatever this was not, and use the timestamps below to jump to those. I'd love to hear what is going on in your life. If you want to open up your heart and share below. When we share our stories, we help others with our stories. So please keep that in mind when you're considering doing so. Please like and subscribe to this channel if you haven't yet. And hey, if you want to support me, if you want to help me do this more, help me help you more, please consider becoming a patron for only $3 a month. Using the link below to my Patreon. There's also a lot of other bonus goodies there at higher tiers, like personalized, highly discounted readings every month for my 3rd and 4th tier patrons. So if that interests you, check that out too. I love you very much, Sag. I'm rooting for you as always, and I'll see you next time. Hello, my constellation of Capricorns. Welcome to your August 2022 tarot reading. This is good for Capricorn, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. I'm going to take a moment and call in your guides, call in your angels. Capricorn. Spirit, what are the messages for Capricorn, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus? That will best align them with their highest selves, their highest path, their highest good. Okay, Capricorn. We have the Lovers in reverse, Princess of Discs, Princess of Discs, the Chariot in reverse. Wow. Okay, Capricorn, so a lot of messages here for different members of the constellation, so please listen through for the messages that resonate most with you. Excuse me. So first we have the Lovers. The Lovers are in reverse here. So for some of you, this is, well, I'm going to start with the interpretation that's speaking to me the loudest right now, which is that some of you feel very disconnected from what inspires you, what makes you feel most yourself, makes you feel whole, makes you feel complete. And you may be in a state of searching for your purpose, your mission. There's just a lot of disconnection between you and how to execute that purpose or even understand what that purpose is. There's a big question mark for some of you, I'm hearing, around what is your life's mission, what is your life's purpose, but also what your values even are. It's hard to know how to manifest certain values in your life when you don't know what those values are. You just know that you don't feel like you are in living your authentic self, living your authentic life at the moment. So it's like, you know, there's a lack of alignment between you and your values in your life, but it's very foggy. It's hard for you to tell even what those are. It's like you just know that something's wrong, but you can't offer a solution in place of it, or at least it feels like you can't offer a solution in place. Now, the Princess of Discs is here as well, so if that was resonant with you, I just want to say that what makes this really hard is that you have a lot of resources right at your fingertips. So it's like having all the resources that you possibly need and being clueless about what to do with them. These resources are available for you to use. They're encouraging you to proceed, to take the first steps of a very fruitful journey. You have the material tools that you need to start this journey, but it's just proof that you can have all the material items in the world. All the things on the outside could be completely aligned for you, but if on the inside there is uncertainty or doubt or a lack of clarity, then all those tools in the physical mean nothing. They mean nothing without that inner clarity about what to do with them or what's important to you, which oftentimes it's just priorities that dictate how to use tools, how to use those resources. So some of you are in that space. Others of you, what I'm seeing is that this is actually the Lovers in reverse is about a strained relationship, or it could be a kind of unequal love, or even just a lack of passion or commitment in that relationship. And I want to say this is a relation. This could be a literal relationship with a loved one, but it also could be a relationship with something that you really love, something that you love to do, a passion in your life. What's the first thing that comes to mind when you think of what's been your passion? And do you feel like the passion has waned there? Or do you feel like there's strain there? Or do you feel like there's a lack of boundaries with this passion of yours? Like it's taking too much of your time and effort, and you're not getting much out of it anymore. It's an unequal relationship. If that is what you are feeling right now, then in that case, this Princess of Discs, the meaning slightly changes. I see this more as a person playing a role in this. It could be that there is that this strain, there's even more, there's a few explanations there's a few different messages for different people here. So for some of you, it's a new person who is really generous and loving, has entered your life, and somehow your relationship with them is placing pressure on on another relationship in your life. And that really is, it's not really about this person. It's more about their effect on you and how you are interpreting this person's meaning and value in your life. So keep that in mind, that this is not something from outside circumstances. This is something that really reflects things about you on the inside, maybe things that you need to take a deeper look at, if indeed you feel like this person is putting strain on another relationship in your life. It's not the person putting strain on it. There's something about your belief system around this person, or what's being triggered within you, that's putting strain on the relationship, and it doesn't have to be that way. For others of you, I see the strained relationship is taking up a lot of focus, a lot of attention on your part, and sometimes it's very hard to, when we're dealing with a strained relationship with anyone, or a feeling of disconnection, it's really easy to displace blame all on the other person. So yeah, an unequal relationship, it becomes unequal immediately in our interpretation of it, because us, in our desire to protect ourselves, can often make that other person, that other half, the bad guy. I want to say this is a moment, an opportunity of real self-reflection on your part, because what I'm seeing is a person here who is incredibly loving and generous, and is providing you with resources within your relationship to change this situation. This is not someone who's necessarily closed off and is this lost cause and is, the reason for all of your problems in the relationship. This person actually, Princess of Disc, it's page energy, it's childlike energy, it's this openness and willingness to learn, to grow, to build a real foundation, and to start on a new journey, a new beginning towards manifesting certain goals around your love, around your passion. So you may be seeing this person as the obstacle, as the thing that is creating this this disconnection, when in fact if you shift that thinking, you can see them as your teammate in shifting this disconnection to connection. You can see them on your side. It's the two of you against the disconnection, not you against this person creating the disconnection. Some of you, and here's yet another interpretation, some of you are going through a kind of separation. You're going through an intentional disconnection with a person. Maybe it's a breakup, maybe it's a friendship breakup, maybe it's you're leaving your job, or you're dissolving some partnership in one way or another. And it's very hard for you to be dissolving that partnership because the partner's not making it easy for you to do so. It's not necessarily about them. It could be about something that is completely unrelated. It's about more of a spiritual, long-term issue, like just where you see your path headed, your own personal path, regardless of the partner in the partnership. But this person is so loving and open and willing to try anything, and some of you keep finding yourself making excuses, saying, I don't have to dissolve this. I don't have to dissolve this partnership. I don't need to set this boundary. I don't need to end this and start something new, because you keep being tempted back into it because this person is such a wonderful person. If that's the case, I want to say that this person can be wonderful. This person maybe this person served in a very important role in your life, and nothing will change that. You can still close a chapter. You can still close a door when it's time to be closed, and when you feel it's closed, because you have that emotional intelligence to sense that. Just because someone is a wonderful person is not reason enough to stay in something that you feel has expired, that you feel has outlived its purpose. So if you are seeing that other person and their goodness as an obstacle to this conscious unpartnering, take a step back and look at that, and try to shift your thinking so that you can see that those two things, it's not mutually exclusive. This person can still be the most wonderful person, and you also can end a chapter that you feel needs to be ended. That is not dependent on the goodness of this person or the value of this person. Okay, I think that's all the interpretations I'm hearing for these two cards. Now, the advice, what's clear, the advice across the board, no matter what was resonant with you here, is that there is a definite obstacle in a chosen path that you've been committed to for a while. And because of this obstacle is reason enough to abandon the path and reassess your approach, change your approach. It could also largely be because rather than the obstacle being in your path in front of you, this being in reverse could suggest that the obstacle is within you. It's a reversal of where that obstacle is, looking outside of yourself for it versus looking inside of yourself for it. So if you do feel that, if that was resonant or that struck a chord or that hurt a little bit, ask yourself, does your goal serve your true self? Really genuinely ask yourself that, because if it doesn't, then this is Spirit saying that it's time to abandon the path for a new one. Scrap that journey for a new one. You're not a failure by walking back. You're not a failure by saying, oh, this wasn't the path I thought it was. You had to walk on this path to know that it was the wrong path. So this isn't a time where it's just better to push through by sheer willpower alone, even if it feels like you are holding together opposing forces to try to get you to that destination because your eyes and your heart were so set on that destination. This is not the time for that. This is not the time to push through with sheer willpower alone and force something to happen. Sometimes the Chariot does suggest us to really apply that kind of force, that brute force to something. Sometimes we need to exhibit that. This is not an occasion where you need to exhibit that. It's better to recognize that the obstacle is not something that's going to go away. I hope that was clear, Capricorn. I'd love to hear how this looks specifically for you in your life, so please comment below and share. If you haven't liked or subscribed, do that now. It would mean so much to me to see you to see you as part of this community. If you'd like to support this work, you can do so by checking out my Patreon in the link below, and you can support me for as little as $3 a month. There's also higher tiers that offer a lot of discounted bonus goodies, so check those out if that interests you. I love you very much, Capricorn. I'm rooting for you as always. Have the most beautiful August, and I'll see you next time. Hello, my lovely constellation of Aquarius babies. Welcome to your August 2022 tarot reading. This is good for Aquarius, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. Take what's resonant and leave the rest, and check out your other placements if this message is not resonant. It could be that a different area of your life, a different placement is taking priority for you right now, is in the spotlight. I'm going to take a moment and call in your guides, call in your angels, calling in the guides and angels for Aquarius. What are the messages for Aquarius for August? Five of Discs, Aquarius, the Lovers, the Fool. Beautiful. Wow, Aquarius, what a beautiful message for you this month. Oh, I'm so happy to deliver this to you. So, Five of Discs. Many of you are feeling this is a time where you are, well, some of you are actually experiencing loss this month. You are there is something that you can point to, and say, I've lost this thing. For the most part, though, even if that is true, the Five of Discs suggests that the majority of the suffering you're experiencing is non-existent. This is more of a scarcity mindset than actual scarcity. So it could be triggered by a moment of scarcity or one example in your life of scarcity, but the way a scarcity mindset poisons us is often through one pathway. So it's like, I lost this thing, I lost this job, and then it bleeds into other areas of our life, and we end up feeling that loss in a myriad of ways, in stories we tell ourselves then about our relationships, our family, our meaning, our purpose, our hobbies, our home, all the things that we have. Sometimes all it takes is losing one thing to put us in this mindset, this downward spiral mindset of never having enough, not ever going to be enough. It could be, a relationship ending and feeling that way. It's like a trigger for all these scarcity mindset stories. So whether or not you are experiencing something or not, this doesn't need a trigger to open that up. Many of us have scarcity mindset issues that are just wired into our brains from very early developmental conditioning. And whatever it is, this is definitely rearing its head this month for you. Keep in mind that when issues come up like this, every time something does come up, every time we really feel our feelings around something that's rooted in fear, it is always an opportunity to heal it. There's always an opportunity there to change it. And the only times we can ever heal or change it is when we're in it. We can't heal it from a distance. We can't heal it when we're not in it, because we're too disconnected from it. It's easy to come at it from this complete love-rooted space when we're not actually feeling the fear. Our real work and improvement is tested in the moments that we are in shadow and in darkness. So if you find yourself in this place in August, see it as an opportunity. See it as Spirit bringing this up for you so that you can work on it, so that you can change it, rather than seeing it as a reflection of who you are and your current circumstances and your life, because that's always the temptation, right? To just succumb to believing the stories that we are telling ourselves, instead of engaging with the stories, challenging the stories when they're happening, when they're on repeat in our heads or our hearts. So Aquarius, that may be something that you're dealing with this month. What is so incredible is that I think some of you, what is triggering this is actually an incredibly beautiful connection. Whether there is new love in your life, I see some of you really deepening your love with someone, deepening a relationship, maybe entering a new level of commitment with someone. Some of you, you're meeting a new love, whether that's, a new partner or a new friend, friendship love. And yet others of you, this isn't even a person. This is just finding a new passion in your life and feeling excited about something again, feeling connected to something again, feeling this sense of purpose. The Lovers is all about being so connected to that love frequency, to the point that it opens up this portal to God. It opens up this portal to our spirituality. It's that deep of a love. And whether we're feeling that for another person or we're feeling it for something that we love to do that fills our cup, or a project, a creative project that we're really committed to, you can tell that it really is real love when it seems to be elevating our spiritual consciousness in a way, when we're accessing that kind of universal greater power, whatever it is that you want to call it, the thing that unites all of us, the force that unites all of us, real love. So this is happening as well for you some months, or this month, and I find it so interesting that these are opposed. This is like, some of you are seeing this new love as an obstacle to maintaining your scarcity mindset, which is the thing that you've been in relationship with longer than the new passion in your life. It's like, well, yep, this is a conditioning that really makes me suffer, really hurts me, but I'm going to remain loyal to it because it's familiar, and because I've maintained a relationship with that mindset for so long. That's who I'm devoted to. And then something beautiful comes into your life and it threatens that, because it makes you feel like you are enough, like you deserve enough, like you can have enough. So this is just so beautifully poetic. What I'm hearing is that this is a love that shows you how much you really deserve, how much you really are, how much you really have. This is a love that pulls you into an abundance mindset And that abundance mindset may feel so foreign to you, Aquarius. It may feel so uncomfortable because it's not what you're used to, that you end up seeing this love, this passion, whatever this is, as your enemy. It's so threatening to your comfort zone. What a beautiful adventure to be taken on. What a beautiful way to be threatened. This is really, I'm just seeing you like cracking out of a shell. You know, we see this person, this skeleton. It's like, this is the version of you when you are trapped in a scarcity mindset. You might as well be dead. You know, you are so starving, and you're in this trapped little, I want to say box, but it's not a box. It's I guess a pentagon. And it's dark in there, and you're unable to see any of the beautiful color outside of that box, because you're trapped in this place of your own making. This is what breaks you out of that box. This is what connects you to the rainbow of your experience that's waiting outside of you. This technicolor life that's there for you to experience. And it may feel scary because it's new. That's not reason to not try it. That's not reason to label that newness as bad or not trust it. You can trust it. This is coming from such a pure, beautifully intentioned place, this new love. And this just leads me to the advice, which is the Fool. I mean, if there's anything to leap head first into, it is this new love. The Fool is about new beginnings. It's about walking off the cliff and trusting that you will be held, trusting that the net will appear. This is a moment in time for you that requires a leap of faith from you. Fool energy is required of us at some of the biggest milestones of our lives, because some of those things that really have the potential to miraculously change us for the better require risk on our part. They're not things that necessarily just comfortably fall into our lap. Instead, it requires us to fall. Those things of great reward require great risk on our behalf. A great leap of faith. But it really does suggest that there is a new beginning for you, Aquarius, that is just so wildly positive and fulfilling. And it just requires your bravery, your courage, and even, let's throw in a splash of naivete in there. Other people might look at you and say you're foolish, or they might say you have this childlike, idealism. That's okay. Sometimes these positive changes, sometimes for a miracle to happen to us, we have to believe it is possible in order for it to happen. We have to be open to the possibility that something miraculous can happen to us. Otherwise, we never would try anything. We would never have the courage, the bravery, or that kind of risk assessment that a child has when trying something new. And that kind of risk assessment, a child's risk assessment, is sometimes far more valuable and needed than an adult's risk assessment. I'd love to hear how this looks specifically for you in your life, Aquarius, so please comment below and share. Like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. I want you to be a part of the Starchaeology Tarot community here. And yeah, share your experience if you feel called to. We really learn from each other's stories. We really serve our brothers and sisters by opening up, by sharing our stories. That's what gives others hope and also catharsis. So So please, if you feel called to share, please do so. And if you'd like to support this work and help me do more of it, become a patron for $3 a month via the link to my Patreon below. Literally $3 a month. You can also check out higher tiers where you could get a bunch of discounted bonus goodies if that interests you, including personalized readings every month, just for you. I love you very much, Aquarius. I'm rooting for you as always. Have the most miraculous August because you really can. I love you. I'll see you next time. Hello, my constellation of Pisces. This is good for Pisces, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. Please take what's resonant and leave the rest. And if this isn't the reading for you, I highly encourage you to check out your other placements because a different area of your life could be taking the spotlight this month. Let's take a moment and call in Pisces guides and angels. What are the messages for my Pisces collective, my Pisces constellation? The Pisces cluster. Pisces for August. Temperance. Oh my God, Pisces. What? I am stunned and shook. Temperance, the sun and the star, all upright. Okay, wild. Pisces, this is probably going to be a short reading because it's so good. I'm not really seeing conflict for you this month. I'm seeing the realization of hopes and dreams and blinding success. Temperance is telling me that you're in a very balanced place this month. You're in a place where you are holding space for complete dualities in your life. I think another way of thinking about this is that you're not really attached to any one outcome, which in and of itself can be very extreme. Instead, it's like you're just holding space for all outcomes in such a healthy, balanced way. You're doing this, almost, really superhuman work. It's like, that's why it's always an angel that depicts temperance. It really takes divine power in us to hold space for our light and dark selves and integrate them in a beautiful way. Not canceling out the dark self for the light or canceling out the light for the dark when we feel really deep in our feelings or deep in depression or anxiety. It's this complete resistance to all or nothing thinking, and instead making this conscious effort to know the truth even when we feel consumed by illusion, or to know our light even when we feel consumed by darkness, to know joy still when we are consumed by suffering, and vice versa, honestly, even when we're consumed by joy, when we're on a high, to still have consciousness of what it is to suffer and our own suffering in a way that doesn't you know, that keeps us like a whole, complete, multi-layered, full spectrum of a being, because it really can work vice versa too. You know, when things are going our way, it's like we've never had a care in the world, or we're really unable to access that part of ourselves that is in pain, or has been hurt, or has felt the stings of failure. And sometimes that can set us up for very like extreme attachment to success, or almost like an inability to then deal with future disappointments. So, I mean, as you can see, like, I think this is holding space for the duality that is life, and really being able to walk this kind of balanced path. What's wild is that you being able to do this, the thing that threatens this balance, kind of, this is going on what I was just saying about when you're 100% consumed by joy, that it's hard to not then become attached or addicted to that joy, to that success, whatever it is. The most threatening thing to that is success that happens to you this month, the sun. This is the light. This is the sun coming up, the dawning of a huge blessing in your life. And it driving out darkness, shadow that maybe has been present in your life recently. The sun is such blinding success. It's such blinding joy and achievement, and that's so beautiful. But I think this card, especially just the art in this, there is this sense of, it's like that's all you see. It's all you're able to see is this light, and that is a part. When we're in it, it's important to remember that is not everything. It's a part. It's a facet of your human experience. And while it is great to be experiencing this month, and it's this well-deserved blessing, well-deserved abundance, Pisces, don't let it shake you out of this place of incredible divine balance that you have found through joy and sorrow. Don't let it move you into a place of extremity. You know, don't let it seduce you into thinking that now there is no dark side of yourself anymore, or feel like you need this in order to be happy, or you need this in order to be okay. Like, let's not even talk about being happy, but be okay. To be okay, you're already okay. You have been okay. I think what's indicative of you being more okay than ever is this, more so than this. It is your temperance. It is your moderation. It is doing this divine work of holding space for the duality that you are and accepting all of it. That is actually the greatest success. This is a win, no doubt, but it doesn't define you. It doesn't define you. And it is the thing this month that is the one thing really that can throw you off balance. So when you experience success this month, achievement, don't let it knock you off your feet. Remember that this doesn't define you. It's something that is happening to you. It's an experience like any other experience. The irony of that is that moving through things like this, whether it's extreme blessing or extreme heartbreak, moving through those extremes in a place of non-attachment is the thing that evolves us, is the thing that grows us. It's the thing that makes us better at life. And a more multi-dimensional human being. And that really, ultimately, Pisces, is the real win. But also, how wonderful it is to be experiencing blessings this month. The advice is the star. I mean, I don't know how much better this reading could be for August. The only advice that you have is to acknowledge that your dreams are planted in you because they can still come true. So if part of this temperance has meant letting go of certain dreams and saying, it's okay, I've let go of that dream, I don't need it, and it really being rooted in this part of you that's just like, it's never going to happen for me. What if I were to tell you it still could happen? That dream could still come true. In fact, it's only because you have reached this place of non-attachment that you're able to pave the way for that dream to come true. This is suggesting that you can hope from a place of non-attachment. You can hope from this place of temperance. And this does not mean being in a state of not hoping. It doesn't mean just being in a constant state of presence, which, you know, it is. It's great to be present. But it's also wonderful to hope. It is wonderful to dream. It's only when we become so attached to those dreams, attached to the promise of success or the allure of future success, that then we become off kilter, we become off balance in ourselves. So if you're able to still hope and dream, but from this balanced place, not become so attached to it that it defines you, that things that you haven't manifested yet define who you are in this present moment, to the point that you need them to happen in order to feel like you're really you. You know, that's not the goal. Hoping from a place and dreaming from a place of this balance is the goal, and it is what I'm seeing here is that you're just in this unique position. Everything that you've been through has put you in this position. You've earned this temperance in your present moment. And so now here's the universe again being like, okay, you've done that. Here's some success. Here are some blessings. Here's the promise of some dreams coming true. I want to let you know that that dream can come true for you, and see how you react. See if the pendulum swings and you go off the deep end, or if you're still able to maintain this temperance that you've maintained in recent time. But the message really, Pisces, is to accept where you are now and also continue dreaming. Because it is that dreaming and the joy of dreaming, not the pressure of it, but the joy of dreaming, that will help you move through the blessings that you do receive this month, but also continue a cycle of receiving blessings, of experiencing achievement and success and abundance. These things, you know, this is a cycle of hoping with non-attachment and welcoming more blessings into your life, believing your dreams are possible, and then experiencing the dream. But they only happen in a place of looseness. They only happen in a place of letting go. That has to be the context for this cycle to happen. So keep dreaming and enjoy the deliciousness of dreaming and hoping, and don't engage in anything beyond that when it comes to that hope. Just know that your dreams are possible, and then let the adventure take you. Surrender to the adventure. This is beautiful, Pisces. I really want to know what's going on for you this month. Please open up and feel free to share. As always, I am rooting for you. And if you got anything from this, please definitely like and subscribe to my channel. If you want to support this work and help me help you better, please consider becoming a patron for just $3 a month. You can do so in the link below to my Patreon. There's also a lot of other bonus discounted goodies on higher tiers there. Please check them out. And I'm grateful that you're part of this community. I can't wait to see you next time. I love you very much. Have a beautiful, very blessed August.